It's Divas That Care Radio. Stories, strategies, and ideas to inspire positive change. Welcome to Divas That Care, a network of women committed to making our world a better place for everyone. This is a global movement for women, by women, engaged in a collaborative effort to create a better world for future generations. To find out more about the movement, visit divasthatcare.com after the show. Right now, though, stay tuned for another jolt of inspiration.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Divas That Care. My name is Candace Gish. If this is your very first time tuning into the Divas That Care, a huge welcome. We are now in our 14th season, and I am so excited. We are listened to in over 30 countries around the world, and it's all because of our amazing listeners, our tribes, our amazing hosts that have been on the Divas That Care network, everybody that's really been a part of our success, and we're so excited that you have tuned in to us today. Today, I am very excited. I'm going to be introducing two gentlemen, and I'm going to be welcoming them as our honorary divas here, and it is going to be Ken and Craig. So welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Well, it is my pleasure. I'm so excited to be able to chat with you both today. Would you mind, Ken, introducing yourself to our divas and letting us know a little bit about yourself?
Sure, Candace. My name is Ken Shalafor, and Craig and I have a business consulting firm. I go back way back, about 30 years in business, started in about 1995-ish. Started as a sign company, morphed into a web development firm, and still own that company. Have branched off into many different areas, real estate. I've been the member of a board of directors for a company called InfraGard, which is an FBI-associated organization. We did a lot of counterterrorism talk and counterintelligence, things like that. I built with 5 other people an assisted care living facility, and then joined the board of trustees. That was a fun project. And today I'm just living life, loving it with Craig, developing this company, and things are moving forward very rapidly.
Oh, my gosh. Well, I'm so excited to be chatting with you today. And Craig, would you mind introducing yourself to our listeners today?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, so my name's Craig. I'm partners with Ken. I'm also Ken's son. Started this business back, 5 years ago or so. Ken and I always kind of wanted to start a consulting company, but I called him up one day and said, "Hey, I'm taking the leap. I'm going to do it. Do you want to be a part of it?" And here we are. My background was in kind of finance and insurance. Worked with large automotive dealers in a very consultative way. Really training them on all aspects of success within a business, sales, and even in the service department, which was a really great tangential into this, cutting my teeth in a kind of a gray-haired industry. So it was a lot of rejection and such, and which is, I think, some of the best things you can do for a career early on. And yeah, just like Ken, now we're here, continuing to build this business, continue to provide as much value as we can for our customers.
I love that. And I love that you're a father and son organization. You know, I was very fortunate to be able to work with my mom for many, many years in business, and she has always been my mentor and taught me so much. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I had started with Divas That Care along with my own daughter. So family businesses are dear to my heart, and it's always exciting when I can chat with other people that do that.
I love that.
Well, the other aspect is my daughter also works with us, and my wife of 30, almost 5 years, oh my goodness, is our CFO, and she keeps us in line and makes sure we don't do anything stupid, and always on top
Love
of things.
it.
So I've been working with her hand in hand since '95.
Oh my gosh, that is so awesome. Well, welcome to the Divas That Care, and we're so excited to have you guys on today.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
So tell me, why did you, I guess the biggest question is, why did you decide to do a business together? Why was it really important to work together? Why was it important to utilize your skills together to obviously help others?
I'll take that one and start, Craig. Craig and I have a very unique relationship. I don't know that there are many father and sons that that work as well together as Craig and I, whether we're swinging a hammer, doing some home remodeling, buying a house to flip. It doesn't matter what we're doing. We have such a synergy with each other that we don't have to talk. We just understand how each other thinks. We know how each other works. We are always able to anticipate the next move with each other without having to say anything. So it was a natural progression to go into business together because we bring very different things to the table. We often say it's two worlds colliding, the traditional meeting the contemporary. And, my traditional way of doing business and Craig's more modern way of doing business. So, and the fact that, businesses these days just don't have a lot of guidance. They don't have a lot of direction. And I'm sure we'll get into this, but, somebody starts a business because they're really good at what they do, but they just don't understand a business concept. And that's where we come in and we can really help mitigate those challenges.
Well, and it sounds like, and I love that you're able to have that synergy and work together, and it sounds like it's really authentic. So let's talk a little bit about what exactly you guys do to help the other businesses, other individuals build. In the last couple of years, I bet you a lot of things have changed for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll certainly jump in and kind of piggyback the first question a little bit, at least on why we founded it. So Ken was in digital marketing and graphic design and website development for a long time, and when you work with small businesses, your scope typically ends up changing a bit, or you end up having to provide value in a different place. And Ken did that for many years. And, me also working in small business previously in a very consultative nature, we quickly learned that this service wasn't readily available to small businesses in both quality of service, pricing structure, and all around value. Obviously there's the big consulting companies of the world, but they are unattainable from a price standpoint, and B, a lot of times large companies hire those consulting companies as interim labor because they know that they're well educated and well structured entities that can help them in the short term. But a lot of times mixing the interim labor with the expertise, again, is something that's not available. So what we do, we take a 3-step approach to businesses, which isn't all that extraordinary unique, but we do discovery, development, and implementation. So really, despite following that process, everything we do is really custom. So we take some time to learn about the customer. It takes a couple weeks to a month, and we do our best to kind of do a crash course boot camp on everything related to their business. This is financial, legal, processes, employment. Employment's a big one for small businesses as far as managing growth. And we do this through a series of questionnaires and Zoom calls and interviews, and then we jump into the development phase, which really is we build a plan, not a business plan, an implementation plan that allows us to take everything we learned and say, okay, this is where you guys are now, this is where you want to be, and here's the recommendation on how to get there. And then as we're doing that, it's kind of a staged tactical process. We're implementing it along the way. So we don't just take 2 months to develop this plan. We'll develop one aspect of it and then work with them to implement it, and then continuously move forward through the template of their business that we've built. So it really is a pretty holistic approach on how to improve their people's businesses and really work side by side as a partner in their business. I think a lot of business owners feel like they're on an island, and like Ken said, they started a business and you just have no one to turn to. Your mother, your brother, your father, your sister, your best friend, none of them know what you're doing or why you're doing it. And again, you're kind of throwing a dart and making your best guess. And we try and be the board of directors, the C-suite, for these small business owners, which we typically classify as something like under $20 million, under 100 employees. There are some outliers to that, but that's generally kind of where we fall.
When do these businesses usually get in touch with you? Are they in financial need? A new owner has probably purchased them, or is it a brand new business? Like, do you work with all different stages?
Yeah, honestly, yes. all different stages. We do some incubator programs as well with business plans and working to receive funding to start businesses, and then it's a natural kind of progression into our consulting. But as far as on the established side, which is the large majority of our businesses, it's generally, as Ken would say, it's generally managing growth. But we do get people who are in turmoil of some way, shape, or form, whether that be losing a big client or losing a key revenue stream in a few months and need to figure out how to replace it or what the structure is going to look like of the company then. But most of the time, it's companies that have scaled. Scaled's a big word, but have increased revenue rather quickly, and oftentimes they're struggling with employment issues or ambiguity within processes, and need to figure out what the next steps are. You either companies that have grown and are struggling with managing growth want two things. They either want to buy back their time, right, because they're wearing a whole bunch of different hats, doing a whole bunch of different things. So they either want more time, or they want to figure out how they can sell the business or increase the valuation of the business, right? And essentially those two circumstances are the same, which is why the selling a business is kind of a dilemma, because typically if you're in a really good spot to sell your business, you're probably not killing yourself on the day-to-day of work because your valuation multiplier is in a really good spot, assuming you set it up correctly. So
exactly.
Yeah, that's kind of what that would look like.
No, that's amazing. Do you guys just work locally or do you work globally? How does that work with you?
We have clients in 48 states and 4 countries. So we, if there was only one thing good that came out of COVID is that remote environment of working with people, and we've dialed in that remote relationship with clients in a real efficient way. So yeah, I don't even know that we have many local businesses that we do business with. Most of them are out of state.
Yeah. Do you work with a lot of smaller ones, more the mom and pops kind of old style businesses that, people are trying to rejuvenate? Are those the type of businesses you work with also?
Yeah. So, a lot of times, there's several different scenarios that we work with. For instance, mom and dad started a business. They've run it for 30 years. Now the kids are involved, and the kids, being more of the modern way of doing things, realize that, mom and dad, although it's a very successful business, have just done things by putting out fires. The kids come in and they want to change things. They want to make things more efficient. That's one scenario. Another scenario is, like Craig had alluded to, managing growth. You have your mechanic working for a 5-star dealership, doesn't like the bureaucracy anymore, but is a really good mechanic, decides to start his own garage. Before he knows, he's got 3, 4, 5 bays. He's got 5 mechanics working for him. Well, he doesn't know business, but he knows how to turn a wrench. So, we run the gamut of small, single people that want to just start a pizza shop or start a frozen yogurt shop, all the way up to, multi-million-dollar trade type companies, electricians, plumbers, roofers, contractors, things like that. So, I would say
to jump in, our current consulting client base, we probably have, 2 or 3 businesses, under $200,000 in annual revenue. And we have, quite a few businesses over $10 million in annual revenue. So it's a pretty big skew. What we learned early on, right, is that when we started really digging into this a little bit more, is that unless we're dealing with something outrageously technical, business is business, right? And the IT company is struggling with employment and hiring practices and ambiguity within roles and figures just as much as the landscaping company that has 2 employees is doing, right? It's really the same. We just have to adopt it a little bit differently based on who they are and what the business is.
It's nice to know that there's people out there that are willing to be individualized. You're not a cookie cutter program. I like that you're working with everybody's, vision and what their goals are. I found that your services were quite amazing. I like that you do a lot of conflict resolution. Tell me a little bit about the business coaching, because I like this part of it. We have a lot of individuals that have come on here, organizations that do a lot of business coaching because it's very individualized. How do you guys do yours?
In the most simplistic way, we have two kind of services. We have, a consulting and a coaching, right? And coaching is a little bit less hands-on. It's much more, like a coach in sports can will say. They come off the field, we tell them what they did wrong, we help them to work through it. Whereas our consulting program is much more hands-on, and it follows that three-phase process, and we build a map, and we help them do it, and we help them actually facilitate the things. We'd be on the field with them, type of thing. Our coaching program follows a similar structure as far as what we want to garner. So we do still do a small discovery period. We still do need to learn about where they are in the process and what they're looking to do. But a lot of times in coaching, people tend to know why they're reaching out. In consulting, a lot of times, as your entity gets bigger, you don't necessarily know where you're going wrong, right? So the discovery phase is not necessarily just to learn about where they're at in the process, but a lot of times it is to figure out where are we misstepping here. So the coaching program follows a similar structure in the sense that we have an agenda that we like to go through over the period of time that we're working with the customer. But there's also typically a lot of back and forth, a lot of questions. So we do this with weekly meetings with the customers. And then, unlimited kind of email, phone, text. We really do like to be as available to our customers as possible. I often say, one Friday, this is going to kill me, but I often say that, we want to be the phone call you make Friday at 7 p.m. because something went wrong in your business, right? And so with the coaching program, we follow that agenda and really, I don't love putting a lot of value on this, but accountability is a huge factor. Again, business owners, you're running around, you're putting out fires, and you often don't have that much time to work on your business. So we force, an element of focusing strictly on your business. And every meeting we leave with action steps that are meant to be taken prior to the next week. And there's a big element of, feeling like that has to be completed before our next meeting, which allows the business to, push forward in a big way.
Yeah, I think that is absolutely brilliant. I've worked with a lot of mentors and coaches over the years, and I love the strategies because the accountability is so important. I think in order to succeed in business, you need to have that. So that is absolutely great. So tell me, gentlemen, how can our listeners get a hold of you?
Well, you can visit our website, chalifourconsulting.com, CHALIFOUR consulting.com. We're on Facebook, Instagram. Craig and I both have LinkedIn. We also have a corporate LinkedIn page. You can contact us directly at 603-722-6206. That'll ring right to my phone. And then Ken or Craig at chalifourconsulting.com.
Yeah, and right on our website, we do have a scheduling link, which would book right with Ken's calendar if anybody wants to just schedule something and have a conversation. We always say we never bill. We're not lawyers. We never bill for a call or an email. This is absolutely what we love and what we're passionate about. If you give us a call, you might get stuck on the call for an hour and get a whole bunch of free value because it's just, again, it's what we're passionate about. So if we end up working together, great. But more importantly is developing a relationship.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you. And do either of you have any last minute maybe tips or tools? Some of the things that I always ask our guests, do you have any advice to help our listeners through the day today?
As far as business goes, something I really like, I took it from a guy named John Spence, a famous interim CEO, is ambiguity breeds mediocrity. Right, and that's true in business and life and everything we do. It's especially true with employees. But if we're ambiguous in what we're doing or what we're saying, we're going to get a mediocre result. And that's true with all the systems and processes and everything you're doing. It's true with the job description for employees. That's true with your sales process, with how you're treating your customers. Everything, right? We need to be very, very direct with what we're doing. To expect that somebody else is going to have the same level of intensity as you, the business owner, is a misguided principle. So, I think that's a big takeaway that I like to say is ambiguity breeds mediocrity. And if you think about everything that goes wrong with that context, I think there's a lot of value in that.
And then I would just add to that, a lot of people come to us because they want to increase the value of their company. They want to make more money. And, Craig says this all the time. If you want to make more money, the only way to make more money is to create more time. And the only way you're going to create more time is to become more efficient. So the only way you're going to become more efficient is through systems and processes and a standard operating procedure for how your company is operated, which would alleviate putting out fires. You're more proactive, less reactive, and you can actually work in your company rather than, on it and running around like a crazy person.
I love those tips, gentlemen. Those were brilliant. Thank you so much. It has been my pleasure to chat with you both today.
Likewise.
Same here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Well, and I hope that you actually do come back on the Divas That Care. I have a whole bunch of questions that I would love to ask you, and maybe we can dive deeper into some topics.
We're available whenever you want to have us back.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I hope you guys have a wonderful week.
You too, Candace.
Thank you. And thank you to all of our listeners that tuned in to us today. I will be posting all their social media. I think it's really important to go check it out and to share it with your friends and family. A lot of you that tune into the Divas That Care are in business, and I think that this would be a great way to utilize what they have. So thank you again to Ken and Craig. Thank you to all of our listeners, and I hope that each and every one of you has an amazing day. Until next time, everyone.
Thanks for listening. This show was brought to you by Divas That Care. Connect with us on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on divasthatcare.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.